Darren and Andrew from Circuline. Welcome to Nightbreed. How are you?
Thanks. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ben. We appreciate you having us here.
No, thank you. Cool. I guess I wouldn't mind starting at the beginning. It looks like 2014 you first got together. Is that right?
Well, actually, we were a progressive rock tribute band called Downing Gray that Darren was in, and Downing Gray was around from 2008 to 2013. And okay. Darren joined sometime around 2010 or 11.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I joined in 2013, and we did 3-hour shows of progressive rock.
Wow. 3 hours. 3.
It was.
Yes. Even for us, that was a lot.
Holy crap! It was Yes, Genesis, King Crimson, Jethro Tull, Pink Floyd,
Gentle Giant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Led Zeppelin, Rush. We'd cover about 9 or 10 bands per night, and by the end of 2013, by the beginning of 2014, we had started jamming a lot at rehearsals. And from playing those shows, we knew that we could play, and we just wanted to write original material. And we got to the point where we didn't think we were ever going to really be able to make any money. Now, 8 or 9 years ago, there were no tribute bands. You know, the world's full of tribute bands now, so maybe we were ahead of our time. But we really wanted to write original music, and Darren and myself and the guitar player at the time. And so we just transmuted, we just went from being a tribute band, we just morphed into the all original band Circuline at the beginning of 2014.
Cool. It's funny you say Yes, because when I was listening, I was trying, influences, that kind of thing. That's the first thing I was like, oh, that's a cool Yes-ish sound, like, is that definitely like when you're writing, do you think that's an influence?
Well, I think we're all influenced by who we listen to, but I don't think Andy and I, who write all the music, I don't think either one of us go, oh, we're gonna write this little riff that's gonna be, it's always just whatever's coming out. But there's just certain traits that each of us kind of bring to the table, and one of mine, I guess, that I keep hearing is the comparison to Phil and Jerry Marotta, because I just absorbed all of that music so quickly, so it kind of just flows out that way. It's not intentional, but it's just the way that we all, kind of write and play. So
that's cool. Yeah.
And also, with Darren, his Phil Collins, Genesis, and his Jerry Marotta, Peter Gabriel type stuff. And then I'm classically trained, and so I tend to play the Tony Banks stuff or classical things, and I'm jazz influenced and rock. And one of the things that's really great about working with Darren is that he's like an encyclopedia of progressive rock. So if I ever play something that I think is original, that I'm just playing, and he's like, no, I heard that on an Alan Parsons, record in 1977. We can't do that. I'm like, I never heard before. He's like, doesn't matter. It sounds too much like something else I've heard. So we'll have to hammer out, how can we make it our own? And then, with Natalie and the 2 albums, the first 2 studio albums that you have, and on our first 2 live CD, DVD, Blu-ray products, Billy Spillane and Natalie and I were the 3 vocalists. And so we would come up with all the harmonies. And so I think that's where maybe some of the people say that we sound like Yes.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I think when you listen to it, that's kind of where a lot of people kind of compare us to Yes, and I'm not really sure. Maybe even Jefferson Starship, that.
Jefferson Airplane, because Natalie, we get a lot of Jefferson Airplane with Natalie with her vocal stuff.
Right.
Okay.
What's really funny is that we get so many comments, just like you did, Ben, and we really appreciate it. That positive comparison to Yes. But when we try to target and advertise to Yes fans, they never respond as well as everyone else who's not really a Yes fan.
That's hilarious.
It's pretty funny, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, we have a new bass player, Matt Dorsey. Actually, on the first album, Matt Dorsey played bass, and he mixed the record. And then on the second album, he played a guest guitar solo on Summit. And then now he's with us now, finally as an actual band member. bass player, and he's a singer-songwriter. So the vocal harmonies you're going to hear are going to be Matt, who sings lead, and myself and Natalie. So we'll still have those 3-part harmonies. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, of course. Talking about songwriting, you're saying, like you sort of jam some things out, but obviously prog's kind of, how do I say it? The complex arrangements, right? So how does that work, jamming and slash writing prog music as a band?
Well, the way I think every band has their own unique way of kind of putting their stuff together. But like for Andy and I, for the second record for Counterpoint, it was mainly just him and I, me sitting behind the drums and him doing keyboards, and he'll play something. I'll go, oh, that's really cool. Let's drop an eighth note here and there and make a proggy. And then, I got a keyboard by me, so I'll come up with some stuff, and Andy will go, oh, yeah, that's really great. So to me, what we usually do is kind of write the bits, kind of a riff here, and kind of explore what we can do with that, and go on to another thing. And then we start kind of, what do you say? What do you say we do? We
Frankenstein. We Frankenstein. You know what? You gotta see this thing.
Yeah, cool.
But the thing about this whole Frankenstein thing is we kind of pick the bits that kind of relate to each other, and then we start playing through it with our instruments to kind of, just make sure the transitions work, So here you go.
I don't know if you can see it.
What happens is,
yeah. we basically come up with all these little bits, and then I go through like this anal librarian. And I'm
yes.
like, okay.
Man, you gotta realize he's our little archivist. He does all the all the graphs and
the
whatever.
arrow and the spreadsheets and because what happens is, like Matt sent us a song that was in 9. Okay, he goes, I got this weird thing in 9. I don't know what to do with, and it just so happened that Darren and Alec Darson, our guitar player, and we had been just playing together, and Darren had this groove in 9, and Alec came up with this killer riff, and we came up with this kind of instrumental cool thing, and it just so happened it was the exact same time signature in the same key as the thing, that Matt had sent us.
Sometimes
so we Frankenstein that together. And it's, I don't, it's just, so that's kind of how we do it. And then
I guess one of the things too, I know there's a lot of, maybe for pop oriented stuff, there's a lot of people that can just sit down at a piano or play the guitar and just go through an intro. I got a verse for it, I got a chorus, let's just kind of hash the whole thing out. But I think it is a little different for us because we do come up with those vocal sections. Andy and I will be writing music and we go, oh, that sounds like a really good kind of thing to use for vocal parts. Either it's going to speak to us as a chorus or it's going to or a verse. And then we write our bridge parts, and then it's like those weird things in 9, those weird things in 13 that we're going to transmorph that song into and do what we need to do to be a progressive rock band. So,
and for the first 2 albums, we wrote all the music, and we kept trying to write lyrics, and it was just not good. So there's a guy we work with named Randy McStein, who's a fantastic musician. He's got a long biography, and we worked with him as a songwriter. We went to him, we were like, Randy, we need some help. So he would come up with the lyrics and the melody, the melody line, and then we would craft all the harmonies around it. So because we all had a good ear for the harmony parts. But for this album, after that second album, we decided we really didn't want to do that anymore. So Darren's been writing lyrics, I've been writing lyrics, Natalie's been writing lyrics, Billy has contributed lyrics. And this one of the reasons this third studio album is taking a little longer is because none of us were natural lyricists to begin with. Although what's interesting is Darren writes really cool poetry and Natalie writes really cool poetry. So they've contributed the most lyrically to this third record, and one of the reasons that we really wanted to do everything ourselves is because across the board with reviews, most people said our first studio album on a scale of 1 to 10 was about a 7. It was about a B, and we thought that was fair. And then for the second album, they said, well, that went a notch up. This is like an 8 out of 10. Like that's like a B plus. Like that's better. and we thought we improved on the second album from the first one. But across the board, most people would say, well, we don't understand what the words mean. We don't understand what the lyrics mean. It doesn't mean anything. And we were all, and our attitude at the time was always like, well, it's prog. It doesn't have to mean anything, right? It's progressive rock. It's supposed to be cryptic and whatever. Yeah. But after hearing that a number of times, we just said, this time we need to write lyrics that mean something to us, that mean something to Natalie as she's singing them, that means something that we all had a hand in. So the crafting of the song parts has just taken longer this time, because a lot of the music stuff, Darren and I, especially when we get Alec Darson, the guitarist in the room, he's the freaking riff master, and Matt is great too. So the music part is always the easiest part for us. So we're just trying to write songs that have a little bit more, meaning this time. So we're hoping that's going to work for us.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. So after the first two albums, you released a couple of live releases. How was that? I've never recorded live before. How was that experience? It must have been pretty different to, sitting in the studio.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, both those shows were performed at really professional venues. So thankfully they had a full board and, hook up. And so that was all taken care of for us. And then they did have options to have the video shot. So we took advantage of that for both shows. So, once all the raw footage and all the audio was done, it was up to who mixed the audio for Majestic.
Actually, Joel Simkus, who was right. Part of our band for 18 months, he mixed.
So he mixed the audio, and then I do all the video editing for the band. So that was interesting, very interesting.
Big job, yeah.
A lot of hours went into those, yeah. So and then of course by the one when we did Prog Stock, we ended up bringing some of our own cameras because 5 cameras is never enough. We have to have so much more. So I think we included another 3 or 4. So I was editing 9, cameras together. So it was interesting. So
one of the reasons we really wanted to do that was because we knew that when we played at Rozfest, that was going to kind of launch us to an international audience. And once they said they were going to have the capability to do it, we just thought it would be a lost opportunity.
Oh yeah, please, yeah.
And one of the toughest things now COVID too, but especially in the progressive rock genre, is until you have a fan base, it's a lot of times it's hard to find places to play live, or you can't really necessarily tour because you don't have enough of a fan base. And as a 6-piece band, it's hard to get opening slots because a lot of bands, they want like singer-songwriter guy with the guitar and a pedal board who can just come out and do the opening act and then get off the stage. They don't want a huge, they don't want a band as big as us to be opening. So we thought we need to show the world that what we can do. So Rozfest was great for us, and then we were really excited about Prog Stock, and one of the reasons we titled it New View was because with the new guitarist, Alec has a much more aggressive metal heavy sound, and Bill Shannon, our first guitarist on the first album, his influences were Steve Howe. He sounded like a cross between like Steve Howe and Robert Fripp. That's what were his really idols, right? And he had a sound. And then he left when we were starting to record the second album, and we knew that we actually knew we were going to have Rozfest coming up, and we did not have enough time to find guitarists, audition guitarists, get them in the band, finish writing, make the record, get it all done. So what we did was I said, let's call all the people I've been networking with, and we had 7 guest guitarists on that second album. And Boleto, we auditioned 35 guitarists and we got Boleto. And so Boleto's on the second studio album, and he's on that Rozfest Circuline Majestic. And Boleto's influences were really, he's like a cross between Steve Hackett and Alan Holdsworth. He's a jazz fusion guy, a beautiful tone, really great player. And Boleto's with us for a year and a half. And then Boleto left, and we really wanted Alec. We actually always wanted Alec, and the timing was never right. And And so Alec, for Counterpoint, our second studio album, he was a guest guitarist on 2 tracks, and he mixed the record. So when it was time for Belado to leave, we knew that Alec already knew our music. And so we went to him, we're like, hey, will you come play this festival with us? You know, because we need a guitarist for this festival. So we knew that we would have a heavier sound. And Darren and I came up with, actually it was Darren's idea for the piano challenge, that piano duet. Then it was Darren's idea for the big percussion drum off thing. You know, where we all rotate instruments, and Darren plays this rototom things, which we should talk about that too. So, and Alec had such a great time with us during that whole process that we were like, listen, now that you've worked with us and you've hung out with us and you've been with us, you know, do you want to be a band member? He said, yeah, that would be great. I would love to be in it. Actually, he said, I'll be your final guitarist.
Right.
Which
Exactly.
really made us, really happy.
Can you pause this? My battery's about ready to die. I gotta go get my thing.
Yeah, no stress. I'll keep recording, but you're okay. That's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Be right back.
Yeah, no stress. Yeah, that's cool. All right, cool. Yeah.
Those are some cool tats, man. Is that a spider? Is that an I Ching? Is that an I Ching on your right?
Oh, this is almost. It's like a G.I. Joe, you know, Snake Eyes, the Rishikagi.
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. It's that. So yeah. I got, you know, King Kong on the other arm. Yeah.
Oh, let me see that left arm.
It's King Kong over here.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
Who's he wrestling? Is he wrestling with somebody? Or
yeah, he's fighting a dinosaur. Yeah.
Oh, that's part where he breaks his ribs. Dinosaur.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
The original was not like 1933 or 1920 or 1938. I remember being a little kid, and it was like.
Like,
wow.
It's great. Yeah. But have you got any? You got any ink or anything? You got any tats?
I have. You know, funny. I have no ink.
Yeah. That's
For some reason, it's not. And I never know what to get. I wouldn't know what to. I keep thinking about it, and there's. It's weird. No, I got enough other freaky things that I do.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, if you're, well, you probably are you a Tool fan?
Yeah, I like Tool. Sure, yeah.
Darren's a huge Tool fan, so we have some. So now it's the first 2 albums were kind of like Phil Collins and Jerry Marotta, and then now you're going to hear some Danny Carey influence on this third studio album. And part of the thing is, the thing is, I have to play a lot less on those songs because Tool is guitar, bass, and drums.
Yeah.
And it's very rhythmic. So we're, there's very, very little keyboards there. So we're figuring out where some nice space is. Because Darren was like, I just need some space where you guys aren't playing all the time. So I wanted to, so Darren's back and he's plugged in. So I wanted to just, because Ben, I really appreciate your question about the live stuff, because one of the things that we really planned when we went to go play at Prague Stock was we for years we've been talking about a show, like really having a show instead of just going on stage and playing the songs off the records, because we felt like we had done that at Rosfest already. Yeah. So we looked around at other successful acts and we thought, okay, when you go to a show and you go, wow, that was a great show, what makes it really great? And it's what we figured out was it was these moments, like there's an acoustic moment, there's that drum off moment, there's that piano challenge moment, and it's something that really differentiates, us, differentiates the people who just come out and play their song versus someone who creates a real show for the fans that's going to leave a lasting impression. So Darren, do you want us, because those, I just came up with the concept of the moments and said, we need to do these things. And then Darren, go ahead.
I think ever since we started this band as an original project, I don't know, I think I had brought up the duet thing just because, I think it's kind of cool that 2 members of the band can play and it's kind of fun. So, and we just never really pursued it until the Prague Stock show. So, just kind of morphed into that. Plus I needed some way to play, what did I play? Trilogy. That's right. Trilogy.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, that's the only thing, that and the Rick Wakeman King Henry, the Wives of the King.
Oh, the Wives.
I learned like that whole thing from Yes songs, So we didn't do that. That's going to be in the next one.
That'll be the expanded version on the next one.
So anyways, it was just a nice way to kind of, I think it was really cool. The drum thing, really, it was sparked from a show I had seen Jethro Tull do, and it wasn't really the same type of thing, but I just remember seeing, and it was something that really stuck with me, is they played the song Skating Away on the Thin Ice for the New Day, which is a great song. The keyboard player went back and played the drums. The drummer came up, played glockenspiel. So it was that shifting around that I really, really like to see. So that kind of sparked that whole thing, because I like the idea of the drummer, who's always back behind the kit, to come up front, kind of do a little bit of a solo thing, and then another member go back there. And then I think part of that thing was Gentle Giant back in the day. I think I saw them in '79. They also had something very similar. They had everybody playing drums and everything. So I thought, we need to do that. So that's where that idea came from.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
And Alec is a multi-instrumentalist, and so is Matt. So we're already talking about like the next iteration for our next live show. What can we do to make it different? Because I actually, part of it had to do with the product. Like if you had, if you had a band that you loved and they had two live things, but the shows were identical, why would you want to buy the second one? Unless there's going to be something different. Like so our whole thing with the Circuline Live is that every live show that we have will, the show will be different. Everything's going to be different.
Yeah, that's cool. Talking about live shows, I saw in 2020 you were part of a virtual tour. How was that? Like, how'd that come about?
Yeah, Andy, how was that?
I'm responsible.
His brainchild, yes.
So, I'm a music marketing nerd. I'm a music marketing geek, and so here's what happened. So we started on. When we started the band, we ideally wanted to have a product a year. And so our first album came out in 2015, Counterpoint came out in 2016. We all had a bunch of life stuff happen. So Circuline Majestic didn't come out until 2017 or 18, spring of 2018. And then I actually got asked to go on tour with Robert Barry's 3.2 band, filling in for Keith Emerson because he sadly passed away. And that just took up so much bandwidth that all the Circuline stuff got put onto the back burner. So we had started writing the third album. We would have come out with the live thing, and that just took up like 2 or 3 years of my life. And then when COVID hit, I was like, all right, we got to get back on the Circuline train. Well, everything's shut down. And so since we hadn't had a product for a couple of years, I said, we need to really do something to almost kind of relaunch us back to the fans and make this a big deal. So Circuline New View was CD, DVD, Blu-ray. We had a big promotion. We had like a program, like a 20-page, Darren, like a 20-page, like a big program like you get at a concert. We had these combination mouse pad, jar opener, hot and cold coasters. Oh, cool. We had wine, Circuline wine. We had wine tumblers. We had this whole thing, and I came up with this concept of virtual tour where we had 15 dates, and we actually came out with 6 new official videos. I had like 6 new official videos, and we had clips from the 15 clips from the New View series from the concert, and then we did Q&A sessions, story behind the song. And so part of the reason, the concept behind that was we had official videos for almost every song on the first 2 albums. And we had thousands of people on our email list. We had sales in 19 countries around the world, and we didn't have that many views on our videos. And so we said, I bet people don't even know about all these videos that we have. So what we did is we relaunched on the virtual tour. So every night on these 15 dates, we would show one of the official videos. We would show one of the clips from the New View, the new product. And then we would do a Facebook Live Q&A with our fans. And we had thousands of people. We had hundreds. We had at least 300 or 400 people every night who would come on, and they were asking questions. And we had a lot of guests, like all of the different guests we'd had over the years, live and on the records. And it was great to tell the stories behind the song and the stories behind the video. Like, you know, what was up with this video? Why were people wearing this? What, you know, what happened? So it actually got us placement in some national magazines. It got us on some Spotify playlists. And Darren's actually got the poster on the wall over his right shoulder. So it's got the 15 dates. It's got the 15 dates listed. And it was a ton of fun. So we will be doing that again when we launch this next third studio album. It won't be as many dates because it was a ton of work with all the promotion and everything. But, you know, just coming on and it was also a way for us to connect with people. I mean, this was 2020, right? COVID lockdown, but the pandemic's happening. People can't even hug or touch each other. Nobody's going to live shows. No shows are happening. So we just thought it was the best way that we could actually get back and meet people and give them a reason to jump on these live, you know, these live Facebook, live Zoom calls.
Yeah, that's really cool. Talking about the live shows, you were telling me before we started about your studio setup and everything. Are you all sort of within, you know, living distance? Like, is everyone kind of anywhere near each other to get together for these live shows? Like,
three of us.
Three of us are. Darren lives about 90 minutes away.
Okay.
And then Natalie and I live together. So we're all right here in the New York, Connecticut area. And at this point, the rest of our team, Alec Darson on guitar, he lives in Toronto, and Matt Dorsey, our bassist, he lives in LA. So what happens is a few times a year, we work virtually, but we really like being in the same room all at the same time. So what we'll do is we'll get Matt and Alec here for about a week, either a long weekend or come for about a week, and we'll either do a lot of writing or a lot of jamming, or, you know, rehearse before we have to do live shows. And like this summer, they'll come out and we'll do a photo shoot, and then we'll do an official video. We'll just do video shoots every day for a week. That'll be dripped out as a part of our promotional campaign next year, 2023, for the new album.
Cool, awesome. So where's the new album at the moment?
There's some.
Sorry, yeah. That's all right.
No, there's some new software. There's some new software that we just found out about that's supposed to really work. That if everyone has an Ethernet connection, that you can collaborate with 4 different locations in real time playing music. So we're gonna test that out in April and May. We'll let you know how that goes. And I'm sorry, Kutcher, what was your question?
That's okay. Is that Jam Kazam by any chance?
Yes, it is Jam Kazam.
Yeah, I've used it, and like there was a lot of glitches and mucking around with stuff, but we have had it working really well. So it works. It's good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, on the demo, they had a rock band, they had a classical string quartet, they had a jazz. I mean, they're all, I don't know. What's weird is because it's audio only, I don't know how they're recording video. Maybe they're all on Zoom and doing Jam Kazam at the same time or something. I don't know, but
Oh, that's cool.
But I'm glad. Okay, so you're another person we've heard said it works, so we're gonna try it out.
Oh, cool.
So sorry, what was your question?
No, that's okay. So where's the third album at the moment? You're in the writing stage, that kind of thing?
I think the actual writing part is finished. Now it's arranging. We've done most of the arranging. There's some things that still need to be worked out, but just because of circumstances, we haven't been able to get together quite a bit, or as much as we wanted to this year. But I believe starting in the next couple months, we'll be tracking drums. And then once drums are done, you know, we kind of build the songs around that. Andy will lay down kind of a scratch keyboard thing. We got it all. It's just a process, you know, scratch vocals, and then guitars and bass come in, and then I'm going to go do maybe some tweaks on the drums, which leads to, and you know, Andy coming up with the sound, you know, so it just keeps building and building. So we'll start that process in a couple months. Yeah. So
awesome.
One of the things that kind of emerged, you know, now that you see the Frankenstein, you know, the board, what we actually didn't know is from having between stuff that Darren and I did and stuff that we did with Natalie and you know, Billy when he was here, and then having Alec here and then having Alec and Matt here, we had so much material that we actually had about 17 songs. And we were going to try to prepare everything. And then we just realized, you know, it's too much material. So what we're going to do is we're going to chop it in half. And we're going to come out of this. So this next album will be like a part 1. And then while we're putting that out and promoting it through a long promotional cycle, we're going to finish the rest of the bunch. And then we'll be able to turn around in the next year within about 6 months and start again for the next promotional cycle so we can get back to like 2 albums in 2 years, which we're actually really excited about. And for me personally, as a fan, one of the things that I've noticed is that ever since they had the advent of the CD format, artists tend to put out so much music. They'll put out 16 songs because they can, because the CD format will allow it. And it's a lot to consume. I mean, everybody's so busy all the time. I can never get through it listening to it. You can't, it's so much, and you can't even remember all of the music. And I don't feel like I'm gonna sound like an old dude when I say this, but those 45-minute vinyl albums, when it was, you know, side 1, side 2, 45 minutes, you could get both sides on one side of a 90-minute cassette. It always seemed like about the right amount of material that you could listen to, you could digest it, you could absorb it, you could listen to it over and over. We just think that's going to be a better plan, and also it gets us 2 albums instead of just 1, and it gets us, you know, more material and more opportunities, you know, with videos and promotion and whatnot. So that's our current plan. It could change next week. That's our plan today.
Oh, that's great. So so do you have a date in mind? When do you think we'll hear the first, you know, part of this new album?
The plan right now is to do to finish the music this summer, do the photo shoot and video shoots in the fall, and in the fall we'll probably do the album cover release and a track listing, and then starting in January. The plan now is, and what we're finding, again, I told you I was a music marketing nerd. What we're finding is that for people to really get the most out of releasing singles leading up to the album is to release like a single, and then a couple weeks later do a lyric video, and then a couple weeks later do an official video, and then start that over. So we'll probably release, say, 6 singles with lyric videos and official videos. That puts us in about August or September for an album release date. But the music will start coming out in January.
Awesome.
So that'll be like the whole year of 2023.
Ah, fantastic.
And another thing that we're going to do that we've also not done in the past is we're going to have some alternative versions. Like we'll have some acoustic versions, like with piano and acoustic guitar and just vocals, and Darren, you know, playing with brushes and stuff. Just to have some, you know, since we actually wrote all the music and the lyrics and the melodies and stuff, it's just a different way of you know, people seeing the song. So, and it's also a good way to test some things, like before we go out live, you know, what songs will work best acoustically. So we've seen other artists do that. One of our favorite artists is Stephen Wilson. He's a British artist. He was with the band Porcupine Tree. You know, they're coming out with a new thing. And during the pandemic, he released his like home studio sessions because he couldn't get together with anybody. And he was playing this old upright piano, and he had a drum machine. And I'm watching this, and I thought, every single thing he's doing is like something that I would do, something I would demo up to present to my band, and like he's doing it and getting hundreds of thousands of views. And I thought, well, we're gonna do that too then. You know, it's just ways to create more content to connect with people around the music, other than just the one official video that you might see with a single.
Oh, fantastic! Cool. That's good. You got me thinking of ideas for my stuff now. That's really great.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Oh, well, look, Darren, Andrew, thanks heaps for your time. I'm definitely looking forward to checking out these videos in the next album. Love it, man. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you so much, Ben. We appreciate you having us.
Oh, thanks, man. Have a good one. Yeah.